Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White, yours truly. I hope you have had a happy Pi Day. This is like the best day in the math world. This is like the one day that makes sense. March 14th, 314, 3.14, and we are all celebrating. So please join us at that celebration. With that said, I want to get right into the announcements. First things first, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on Swain Girl Media Channel, hosted by Precious Swain on Fire Stick. Also, it will be featured on Spotify. So if you're looking out for it, you should be able to find it there as well. I also wanted to invite you to check out my website, www.india-white.com, for blogs, books, and to schedule me for your next speaking and coaching event. Also, if you're wanting to be featured on the Let's Get Gritty podcast, send me your email with your photo and a bio to india.white.123 at india.white.123@gmail.com, and we will work together. I'm super excited about it. Also, I would love for you guys to follow me on social media. So my social media handles are Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. And my TikTok channel is Dr. India White. So thank you to those that have already followed. Please help me out with this Let's Get Gritty on the podcast or on the Spotify channel. Look out for it. See how you can subscribe or like it and share it out with your community. So with that said, we're going to, I also wanted to let you guys know of a couple of upcoming events that I have coming up, so that if you guys ever want to connect with me in some of these spaces, I'm here for you. Okay. So first one's upcoming Minnesota Council of Teachers of Mathematics. I'll be a featured speaker in April. I am slotted to be a keynote for Wisconsin Math Council in May. And I have a couple of other events in California coming up, but I will wait to share those probably maybe next week or so. But I'm super excited as I'm working with school districts and working with you all at your conferences. I love meeting people in the math space because you guys get it. Like we're in the zone together. So it just feels really wonderful to be connected to the tribe. So thank you for receiving me. Thank you for working with me. Thank you for who you are, what you've brought to the math space. And speaking of that, I kind of wanted to just say thank you for being awesome. I wanted to share with you a funny video that I found that I thought you guys would enjoy. And I think every math teacher needs to own this. So this is Snoop Dogg. And I know you're like, okay, what's going on? So this says, this person, vibe with Netta. You're a teacher who has survived more than 10 years in the classroom. So to all of you teachers that have taught over 10 years, and not just that, to every teacher that has celebrated Pi Day, this is for you. You need to adopt this attitude, okay?
Last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. Last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work.
That's right. So, hey, I want to thank you guys. And I think that you need to have that confidence emulating from you today. Think yourself. Treat yourself, whether that's a dessert or a massage, going to the beach, going on a trip, you deserve it. For all of you rock stars that are in the space today. So thanks for letting me share that. I just thought that was so hilarious. Who doesn't love Snoop Dogg? And so with that said, I'm going to go into our podcast topic, which we're going to talk about how you can have grit no matter what. And I want to talk with educators and leaders about really developing grit, not only for yourself, but for your students. Because what I am starting to figure out, and I think all of us, is that life has been tough lately for many people, and even for our students, this is a different generation. See, when we were in school, we just dealt with it, right? Like we just sat at our desk, we dealt with stuff, we didn't complain, we didn't have any rights like our students have today. And so we didn't really have a sense of empowerment when it came down to, speaking up and using our voice to talk about what, the hardships were that we were going through. We just had to deal with it. We had to just resolve the matter. We had to just figure out a way to cope, figure out a way. But now this generation's a little different. This generation is way more demanding. They have rights. They know their rights, and they're not going to tolerate anything less than respect. And unfortunately, what happens is because they have so much confidence, some of them are, making millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram, all these social media outlets, that when it comes down to really being motivated about math or being motivated about life, sometimes they dwindle on that motivation. And so they're going to need us to help get them through the finish line at times and to remain gritty no matter what. So we're going to talk today about having grit no matter what. We're going to talk about how to really help our students and how to help with, just in general with ourselves and how to remain gritty with everything that we do. So with that said, I want to start out and I want to share with you one of the rock stars that has spoken to us about having strength and finding strength and grit in tough times. And so this is called Finding Strength in Tough Times. This is by Dr. John Kuna and Associates. And so it says, taking a look at grit and resilience, some of my favorite words. So look here, it says, tough times never last. Tough people do. This is a pretty neat graphic here. And we've heard that so many times. Okay. And so with that said, he wrote this in 2017 and he's saying, there's many times in life that we're going to be called upon to rise above adverse circumstances, to overcome challenges, or to keep moving forward, even when we don't have the inner strength to do so. How many people have been there? Like, you're like, oh my God, I got to get up and work out today. I just don't know how to do it. I just can't make myself do it. Or, I got to go back to this class and I have to teach this. And I don't know if I can muster up enough strength to do this. Or, you're maybe facing some other daunting task. So we've got to talk about how we can do this. So he's saying this ability to find strength in tough times, it goes by many names, right? And so that's the thing, is like, so many people are coining this as, oh, I'm a fighter. I've got a fighter in me, or I've just got that inner drive. I've got that bulldog tenacity. But what is the coined term that we can all start saying so that we're all on the same page and it makes sense? That term is resilience, but it also is designated as the term grit. And that was really powerful. And it's powerful that he's saying this because, like, when I was studying at the university and I was trying to figure out why these kids weren't dropping out of school, like, what was it? And they, it was so many terms. It was my inner drive. It was my, just that force in me, that fight in me. I'm just tough. I just got it, and then when we finally looked, it was grit. And that's the thing, is grit is not, so I said this last time, grit is not an oppressive thing. Grit is not, for instance, you're in a classroom and you're giving students 20 real world complex problems where they have to show their conceptual understanding and how they understand, the topic. It's not taking that and giving those to those students and telling them, complete this task in 2 minutes, go. Like, you're setting those kids up for failure, and that's oppression. That's not grit. Grit is meeting a student where they are and helping them to have resiliency to bounce back from hardships, whether it's emotional hardships that they're going through, some other personal, social hardships, or cultural hardships, because yes, that does exist with certain cultural groups that are going through all kinds of injustices, and they have to put up with the foolishness day in and day out. And they need to be able to have resiliency to bounce back in the face of the injustices and the wrongs that they unfortunately are going through as well. So with that said, the key term is grit. Okay. So We no longer have to say, I'm just a fighter, or tell our kids, you're just a fighter. I mean, it's good, but you can say, you're just gritty. You're awesome. You've got a lot of grit. You got a lot of grit today. Your grit is amazing. Or your grit's not where it should be. What happened? What's going on? Talk to me, and hopefully you'll have a relationship built with those students so that they'll open up to you, right? So with that said, let's get back into what this expert was telling us. So what John was telling us. So he says here, although challenges one may face in life remain seemingly endless. You've got financial hardships, marriages, relationship problems, coping with the loss of a loved one, which Lord knows that is very tough. And then the ability to rise above adverse circumstances. That remains the common positive themes. Having grit and being resilient, it doesn't matter what that label is. Strength is strength, right? However, he's going on and talking about how strength is complex. And this is why we really have to start breaking it down with what is strength? Like, what does it look like? Is it the inner strength? Or are you like a bodybuilder with like this physical outer strength, and you've been able to do that because you've been able to, through grit and through resilience, build yourself up and have enough discipline to get to that place, right? So he's talking here about ultimately developing these traits. I've said it before. Grit is a trait that can be developed. It can be grown, just like a growth mindset. You can continue to evolve into even a greater growth mindset than before, right? You can develop. And so with that said, he's going to keep talking here. He's talking about one key concept: resilience has emerged in recent years. Resilience has been described in all these books and magazines, and it is the ability for individuals to overcome adversity. Resilient individuals, he keeps going here, resilient individuals, they find strength, particularly emotional and psychological strength, more so than a sheer physical force to overcome challenges. Let me say that again. Resilient individuals, they're going to find strength, particularly emotional and psychological strength, more so than your sheer physical force to overcome challenges. And so that is one thing that you're going to need to really help students with bouncing back through hard times. But then he goes into grit. And he says here, grit is the means of cultivating passion and persistence towards long-term goals. And I've said it before. Grit has three components. You've got passion. You have to have persistence or perseverance. And you have to have a goal. Because if you don't have a goal, you're spinning your wheels, right? So he's talking here about that. He says grit is the means of cultivating that passion and perseverance or persistence towards those long goals. And he says, although grit can be applied things outside of the realm of overcoming hardships, it remains relevant. Listen, grit remains relevant because gritty individuals may keep going when others give up. And I told you in my research, when I asked those students, why did they drop out? It was grit. And that's the point here. This is why grit is needed. Some people are like, oh, grit doesn't know. No. Every single person is using grit and resilience every day. You think I'm lying? Check yourself out when you're driving and the light is yellow and it's about to turn red. And you're wanting to make, you don't want to make that light. Like, you want to go beyond the light. You don't want to stay there. So what do? You're going to pump the gas. Well, many of us have done this because you don't want to have to stay there for another 5 minutes and watch traffic. So you're going to build up that resilience so that you can get across that. That's grit. So that's an example. Or, people become very gritty around holidays, especially around like Black Friday and Thanksgiving and stuff. And they're trying to do shopping for their family and they're trying to catch the latest deal. Go out and look at the gritty people that are standing in the line at Macy's and JCPenney's and Walmart even, and they're trying to get that latest flat screen TV, or they're trying to get the latest game on the PlayStation, trying to get the latest cookware set, ladies, for us that cook or chefs out there. So people determine when they want to kind of turn on and turn off their grit levels, like, and not even so much, but it's a liquid. It's always there, but they want to really tap into grit and really cultivate it because they're really passionate about something versus, I don't really care. I've got 6 years to do it. Students become very gritty, especially your athletes, when they know, like, for instance, they're a senior and they're trying to get into that D1 school for football, they become very gritty when it comes down to the grades and it comes down to practice and playing on the field, because they want to be noticed by those coaches. They want to be noticed by those college recruiters. So they're doing everything they can to be gritty to prove that they are worthy of that team. And so they have to prioritize. And, one thing I really encourage is that coaches get with leaders, teachers, and figure out how to balance that so that students don't feel like they have to pick and choose between, am I going to be like the best star athlete, or am I going to be an academic student having to give up my athletic ability? So I know that's sticky, but that's definitely an area of focus for those that are in our nation that are aspiring to be athletes, but yet aspiring to go to college. So with that said, let's get back into this particular article here, and as they're talking about finding strength in tough times. So grit, I like this. He says here, so people remain gritty because they keep going when others give up. Grit is the sword and resilience is the shield. Again, grit is the sword. It's how you're going to fight. You're going to remain gritty. You're going to keep going. Resilience is how you're bouncing back when you're attacked. It's the shield. And so it says, then this may be the essence of finding strength in troubling times. It's not hard to evoke this famous line, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's not hard to evoke this. And although it seems trite, there's still wisdom at the heart of this. It's very true. And I guess developing that gritty mindset, you almost have to go rock bottom with something like this. Like, well, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. Bounce back. You'll be all right, And I think that's where we have to help students to kind of accept, like we talk about like serenity, accepting the things that you can't change, but not just accepting it, choosing to bounce back from the things that you can't change, putting a plan together to move forward from those things that you can't change. And that's what happens when you are gritty and you have resilience. And so he's talking about here, he's talking about hardship has many bedfellows, stress, worry, anxiety, depression, all of those, and they undermine a person's ability to overcome adversity. So although learning how to be gritty and resilient is not a straight path for everyone, and this is where people, are controversial about it because they're like, oh, well, it's not a straight path, but that doesn't mean that you can't have grit. That doesn't mean that you can't build upon the grit that you already have, right? Success looks different from all of us. Bouncing back looks different for all of us, but you still need to start somewhere. And grit and resilience is how you're able to take life by the horns and turn things around and bounce back no matter what. So then he's talking about other things here. Having the correct mental tools, resilience and grit, they are going to lessen how hard we are hit when the times do come. You need to have a support group, right? And then here, finally, pain is random, indiscriminate, and unforgiving. However, when you're trying to find strength in tough times, it may be useful to start with the concepts of grit and resilience. So thank you for Kuno and Associates. And it looks like Brooke was the one that wrote this. She's in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Awesome sauce. So that was a pretty good read for us. And so with that said, I want to talk a little bit about my tips on how you can remain gritty as well. So I decided to just share this from my heart. And I'm going to share this for teachers, tips on how you can remain gritty. So first things first, staying positive. As a leader, being thankful for who you are, being thankful for your credentials, but then being thankful for your experience, being positive, having an optimistic outlook on life, seeing the glass half full, realizing that your lot in life could have been totally different, and that you are actually fulfilling your purpose. So there's a lot to be grateful for. Then number 2, remember your goals. What are your goals as an educator or as a leader? What are your goals and where are you in fulfilling your goals? Some of you are teaching at specific schools and your goal might be as simple as, I just want to pay off my college loan in 5 years. Or you might have a goal of, oh, well, I want to learn this so I can start, my own business, or I want to write a book and I need research, I need content, I need something to tie it to. So those are some great things you have there with remembering your goals. And then, of course, keep dreaming. Even as a leader, it's never too late to stop dreaming. Never just be content with your lot in life. Continue to dream. And it's so funny, so many people say, oh, I retired, but then they're doing all these things. Why? Because I really don't think, in essence, that many of us want to just retire. I think it's cool, but at the same time, I think almost everyone that I know that was of a retired age has gone back to work or has done some volunteering in their community, because it's just, we're not made to stay stagnant. We're not made, we're made to evolve. Like I was talking about how we're like a garden, and you're made to blossom, bloom where blossom where you're planted. Choose to bloom, choose to thrive, choose to evolve. All of us have a specific purpose, and we have to be gritty to continue to evolve into that greater step, that next greater step. I just don't know where I would be if I didn't have grit, if I didn't, even when I was an at-risk student, and I saw a teacher saying, or a leader saying that, I was going to wind up being a teenage dropout, pregnant. When I saw that on that fax machine back in the day, where a leader said that about me, I could have settled there. But I decided to keep going forward. And I'm saying this because many of us, we're at certain levels. You have to continue to keep going forward. Now, listen, when you're going forward, that doesn't mean that you have to tear down. And let me talk to some of y'all. Doesn't mean you have to tear down other great people to go forward. Doesn't mean you have to sabotage, because what's meant for you, your greatness, that will happen for you. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. And I say that because so many people feel like, oh, I want to go forward, but I feel like this person's already doing this, or this person's in my way, or this person has this opportunity that I want. And sometimes we're chasing opportunities that really aren't for us, or that it might be detrimental for us. So we have to be very careful on that as well. It makes me think of like when you have airlines, you're flying Spirit, or you're flying United, you're flying American, whatever you're flying. The pilots are doing their own thing. They're flying in their lane. They're not trying to tear down, like American Airlines is not trying to tear down Spirit. Spirit's not trying to tear down Delta, right? You don't have pilots fighting in the lobbies or in the airport over who's flying the highest that day, who's flying the longest that day, who has the most flights booked in their in their company. Nobody's doing that. People are just flying high, and they're mature enough to understand that all of them together are serving a purpose in our nation to get people where they need to be, right, at the right time. And they celebrate, and they recognize, and they respect each other, and they continue to soar in their own lane. We as educators and leaders, we have to do the same. We've got to grow up. We've got to support each other and refuse to partake in anything that would tear down somebody else just to try to get in the door, just to try to get ahead. Like, we don't have to be gritty in a way that it's detrimental. We can be gritty in a way that uplifts and helps support each other. So I hope that helps for those that are like, oh, well, I want to dream, I want to go, but I just don't know. Like, yeah, keep dreaming and stuff and keep doing great. You'll find your tribe, and just make sure that, you continue to lift and support people and not pull down. We weren't created to pull down like that. And then, of course, continue to work on yourself. If you don't have any goals, it's hard for you to see areas of focus, right? And it's hard for you to see areas where you need to develop. So I highly recommend, work on yourself. Work on emotionally, how are you? Financially, how are you? Spiritually, physically, how are you? I know I've got my personal goals. I'm constantly trying to evolve and balance. Like my word this year has been balance. Trying to figure out how to balance, family and work and things like that. And then, of course, tip number 5 that I came up with for you guys: reach out for support. Who is your tribe? Who are your members of your village, of your tribe? Reach out to them, and you'll find out who your tribe is, because when you are at a low in life, whether it's emotional low, financial low, whatever, you're going through something, that will reveal who is really for you. especially those in the tribe that will reach out and say, is there anything I can do? Is there something you need from me? They're reaching out in times of grief. They're reaching out in times of low achievement. And maybe you just don't have everything that you need. That's your tribe. What you want to avoid are people that are intentionally pushing you away. That's not your tribe. People that are telling you, we don't want you in the room, we don't want you in the space, that is not your tribe. And so many of us have been tied to these toxic relationships that are actually dragging us down. We've got to stop, and we've got to reach out for support to the right people. If the people that you think are your tribe never advocate for you, never put you in the room, never speak well of you, or they speak bad about you behind your back, they're trying to tear you down, they're replacing you, they're doing stuff, that's not your tribe. Those are not your people. Reach out for support with the right people. Get quiet, find out who your tribe is. Okay. And I'm saying that because you've got to protect yourself as you're being gritty, as you're bouncing back through hard times. And then, of course, tip number 6, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. I say this because so many of us, we think there's like a badge we get for being so humble and not celebrating and just working like a workhorse. Like I saw a post on LinkedIn. It was really sad. A woman had worked for a company for years, like I want to say at least 20 to 40 years. And she was faithful, never took a vacation, saved all her money, and she died at work. No retirement, nothing. And it's sad because it's like she didn't allow herself to celebrate life. She didn't allow herself to enjoy, those steps that she had taken. And it's so sad because somebody was posting about it and they were saying how it's important that you stop, pause, celebrate, love yourself, love your family, love your friends and stuff, because you only get one spot at this. You get one shot at life on this side. So we might as well do what we can to celebrate and to, whether it's journaling out, calling a friend that likes to celebrate you, like find that person that you can talk their ear off about, what you're going through, or get therapy and counseling. Find someone that is willing to celebrate you. Okay. And then of course, stay grateful. I remembered in the worst parts of my life, this was key because I didn't know how to stay grateful, y'all. I mean, I was always hit with grief more than anything else. I mean, the people I know in the grave, it makes no sense. And the sad part about it is the more you find out people pass away, it doesn't get any better. Like it almost like it just keeps building and building into this big ball of grief. And then it's like one person passes away and then it triggers the thought of, oh, that other person passed away and then they passed away and then they passed. And it's just like you're grieving like 10 people when you find out about the death of one. And that unfortunately has been something that I have had to figure out how to bounce back from through being gritty and resilience. And so I say that because through it all, I've learned to be grateful, to wake up and say, thank you. I'm a believer. So God, thank you. Thank you for another day. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for the flowers. And okay, I was at UF one day studying on campus. I think I was an undergrad. And I remember University of Florida, they have beautiful landscaping. And they have those bushes that are like blossoming right now. You guys know what I'm talking about. Forgive me for not knowing the name of them. But they've got the bushes and they have like the pink flowers, like the magenta kind of colored flowers, pink flowers, white flowers, whatever, but they're bushes and they bloom only around this time, for the most part, this time and maybe around August. And I remembered I was like, oh, the flowers are cute, but I'm just going to keep going because I'm busy. I got to get to class. And like, I just heard this thought and it was like, enjoy the flowers of today. And I was like, interesting. How many times do we pass those pretty flowers in the pretty moments of life and the birds that are singing? And we just roll up our window. We just don't even think about it because we're so busy. We can't slow down enough to enjoy life and to be grateful. So I want to challenge all of you, find a way to be grateful. If it's for landscaping, Maybe it's the nice cut grass, your neighbor's nice cut grass. Maybe it's, you got today is Pi Day, so you can go get, I think Pizza Hut and some other pizza places are doing some free things for Pi Day. Maybe you're grateful for that. Find reasons to be grateful for your family. Find reasons to be grateful for who you are and how you showed up in life, how you showed up in your space. And just choose to ride on that high of gratefulness. So, so with that said, I just wanted to come on here and talk with you guys about really how to have grit no matter what. And so I did provide those points for you, and we talked about resiliency and grit, how we can make sense of that in our everyday lives. And so if you're a teacher or leader out there, just know that you're valuable, you're appreciated. We're so thankful for all that you do. You're amazing. And I hope that you were able to really enjoy this Pi Day today and just ride it on an all-time high. So with that said, guys, I don't want to keep you long. So again, I want to thank you for joining me today on the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White. And if you are wanting to connect with me, you'll find me on Facebook at Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. And TikTok is Dr. India White. And of course, some announcements I have for you guys. Again, upcoming events. I'll be at the MCTM in Minnesota in April. And then I'll be at the Wisconsin conference in May, doing a keynote there. And then, of course, pretty soon we will be releasing a great mini workshop. So look out for that. Thank you so much, Robert and the tribe, for that opportunity. And then, of course, until next time, you guys stay gritty. If you're wanting to be featured on the show, just send me an email at india.white.123@gmail.com. And again, thank you so much for being awesome. Thanks for joining me. And I will see you guys